It's over, Charles. You're finished. You're mine now.
You will never win.
And why is that?
Because you are alone. And I am not.
Welcome to Mr. Screen. The incredible power that the Marvel Universe has to bring extremely powerful villains is very great, even more so when we bring in the vision of the future. The world had been shaken by Thanos' snap and Tony Stark's ultimate sacrifice. The universe was saved, but peace never lasted for long. In the deep silence of ancient Egypt, Apocalypse, the first mutant and self-proclaimed god, rested in his millennial fortress. He observed the present and the future simultaneously, his infinite powers connecting him to every fragment of reality, past, present, and future. But at that moment, a more disturbing vision appeared before him, a fusion between two of the greatest intellects that ever existed. Victor Von Doom, Dr. Doom, one of the most dangerous men on Earth, would bring Tony Stark back to life through arcane and scientific methods beyond human comprehension. They would not become allies, but something much more powerful and terrifying. Doom would use Stark as a vessel for his soul, merging their minds and bodies into a singular, absolute being, Dr. Doom Stark, a creature with Stark's intellect and Doom's tyrannical ambition. Apocalypse saw the consequences of this fusion. The entire multiverse would collapse under the weight of his power. Timelines would be destroyed, and entire realities would bend to the will of this new entity. Apocalypse, an ancient being who had always believed in the survival of the fittest, recognized that if Doom Stark existed, no other life form would survive. He would be the sole god in the multiverse. And that was something that Insaban Nur, the true Apocalypse, could not allow. The journey between timelines. With his decision made, Apocalypse activated his vast mutant and technological powers. He knew he could not fight Doom Stark in his current form. He would need something more time. Using one of his old machines, he channeled the energy of the Crucible of Eternity, a device built to enable time and multiverse travel. His first stop would be the most crucial moment, the point where Victor Von Doom would begin his conjuration to bring Stark back. Apocalypse knew he could not prevent Doom from bringing Stark back, for the fate of that event was intrinsically tied to the future. But he could prepare himself by strengthening himself, gaining allies, and setting up the battlefield. When the machine finished charging, Apocalypse stepped into the portal and was thrown into a spiral of light and shadow. He traveled through several realities, glimpsed alternate versions of himself and other heroes. In each of these realities, Doom Stark wreaked merciless destruction, shaping time and space in his own image. Finally, he reached his destination, Latveria, the domain ruled by Doom. The land was cold and shrouded in perpetual fog, with metallic towers rising like sharp swords against the sky. Apocalypse remained hidden, using his powers of molecular manipulation to disguise his presence as he watched from afar. Stark's rebirth. Inside Doom's castle, preparations were nearly complete. Stark was still dead, his body lying limp in a containment chamber. Doom, using a combination of ancient magic and advanced technology, was reciting incantations that dated back to the creation of the universes themselves. Green and blue flames enveloped Stark's body, and the machines hummed with an energy never before seen. "You are not just a man," Tony Stark, Doom murmured, his eyes glowing behind his metallic mask. "You are the convergence of all that is great. Together, we will be gods." Apocalypse watched as Stark began to stir. The process was working. Doom was succeeding in bringing Tony back to life, but not as the man he once was. He would be something more than that, something corrupted. At the final moment, as the fusion between the two was about to be completed, Apocalypse emerged from the darkness. Victor Von Doom, his voice boomed like thunder, "You are tampering with forces beyond your comprehension." Doom turned slowly, immediately recognizing the imposing figure before him. "Ah, Apocalypse, the great immortal mutant. Interesting that you feel the need to interfere. Can't you see?" Apocalypse said, stepping closer. "This fusion will bring chaos to all realities. You will become a threat not only to this universe, but to all others." Doom chuckled. "And that is exactly why I seek you. The power to shape realities is not something just anyone can wield. I am worthy." Apocalypse knew that words would not convince him. The battle was destined to occur. The clash of gods. The skies above Latveria opened as Apocalypse and Doom began to exchange blows. Doom's magic was nearly unmatched, his technology enhanced by his impending fusion with Stark. Apocalypse, in turn, used his molecular manipulation and brute strength, moving the earth and air around him as weapons. As the battle raged, Stark, still in the process of rebirth, opened his eyes. But something was wrong. He found himself in the center of a cold room, surrounded by darkness. He was aware of his situation, but his mind was divided. He felt Doom's presence in his own body, manipulating his thoughts. "You cannot control me," Stark screamed inside his own mind. "I am Tony Stark. I am Iron Man." But Doom was there, smiling. "You were once Tony Stark. Now you are something more. Something greater." As the fight between Apocalypse and Doom continued, Stark struggled internally, trying to regain control of himself. Doom had underestimated Stark's willpower, but it was not enough to stop the fusion. Apocalypse saw that time was running out. He gathered all his energy, creating a massive explosion that threw Doom against a wall, temporarily halting the process. "You will not complete this," Apocalypse shouted. "The future will be mine to shape, not yours." The rise of Doom Stark. Despite Apocalypse's efforts, the fusion was finally complete. Dr. Doom Stark rose from the shadows, his body a grotesque combination of metal, magic, and science. He exuded an aura of pure power, something not even Apocalypse could have foreseen. Doom Stark looked down at his hands, feeling the power flow through him. "Perfect. I am the future." With a gesture, he threw Apocalypse into the air with a blast of energy so intense that the former mutant felt his cells being torn apart. Apocalypse, even with all his immortality, felt powerless in the face of this new force. Doom Stark, now complete, was no longer just a being who sought power. He was power incarnate, and the entire multiverse would tremble before him. The fall of Apocalypse. Apocalypse, bloodied and weakened, did not give up. He was never one to accept defeat. Even as Doom Stark shaped space and time around him, Apocalypse still planned his victory. He knew he had to find a weakness in the being that stood before him. Meanwhile, Doom Stark began to manipulate realities, tearing apart the fabric of time and shaping new timelines to his own will. Every timeline that Apocalypse had visited was now at risk of being consumed by this being. Apocalypse made one last effort. He channeled all of his mutant power, gathering enough energy to deliver a final blow. In a scream of fury and determination, he launched a devastating wave of energy at Doom Stark, intending to destroy not only his body, but his very essence. Then, in the beginning, Doom Stark felt the blast hitting him, but he smiled. He had anticipated this attack. The fusion between himself and Stark had granted him not only power, but also superior intelligence. He deflected Apocalypse's energy, absorbing it. "You have failed, Apocalypse. The future belongs to me now." And with that, Doom Stark extended his hand, disintegrating Apocalypse in a split second. The era of Dr. Doom Stark had begun, and the multiverse would never be the same again. As Doom Stark established himself as the supreme ruler of the multiverse, resistance began to form. Even in the darkest times, there were those who would not bow. There were whispers of a new alliance, of forces gathering to challenge this new god. But that was a story for another time. Echoes of resistance. The multiverse had changed. Timelines were distorted. Entire realities buckled under the weight of Doom Stark's power. The reign of the hybrid between Tony Stark and Victor Von Doom seemed unassailable. Yet, in the shadows of fractured realities, whispers of resistance echoed. In one of these alternate realities, a small cell of remaining heroes gathered in a secret location. Among them were the only ones who had survived the chaos that Doom Stark had unleashed. Stephen Strange, Doctor Strange, led the group, albeit in a weakened state. The Sorcerer Supreme's magic had become unstable since Doom Stark had taken control of cosmic and mystical forces. Strange looked at the others, his eyes revealing the weight of a difficult decision. At his side were Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, who had lost his family in the reality distortions caused by Doom Stark, and Peter Parker, Spider-Man, now hardened by the battles he had fought. In addition to them, other alternate heroes from various timelines shared the same goal: to destroy Doom Stark. "Doom Stark cannot be defeated in the conventional way," Strange began, his voice grave and tired. "We need a force beyond our understanding. Something that not even Doom Stark could foresee." "There is a solution," Reed Richards interjected. "In every timeline I've studied, there's one constant. Whenever a being tries to merge mystical and scientific power into a single entity, It creates a vulnerability, a crack in perfection. Peter Parker raised an eyebrow skeptically. So you're saying that Doom Stark can be defeated if we find that crack? Not exactly, Reed replied. We need to create that crack. And I know of only one being who has the power to do that. Apocalypse. A tense silence hung in the air. Strange rubbed his chin, considering the idea. Apocalypse was destroyed by Doom Stark. He no longer exists. Richard smiled slyly. Not in our timeline, but in another, perhaps. We need to travel to a timeline where Apocalypse still exists and convince him to join us. Peter leaned forward, his mind already spinning with plans and possibilities. And how exactly are we to do that? Realities are all in chaos. What's to stop Doom Stark from following us? Strange nodded. I can still cast spells to disguise our tracks, at least for a short time. But we need to act quickly. Thus, the plan was hatched. They traveled through the twisted realities, each more devastated than the last, in search of the ancient mutant. Apocalypse awakens in a lost and forgotten timeline. Apocalypse still reigned, not as powerful as he had been in his golden age, but powerful enough to strike fear into the hearts of many. His stronghold, a remnant of an ancient civilization, stood alone, and he ruled with an iron fist. When the resistance group appeared before him, Apocalypse watched with disdain. To him, these heroes represented the failure of the future he had foreseen. What do you want from me? Apocalypse asked, his voice booming throughout the hall. Fallen heroes who failed to save their realities. You have no place on my throne. Reed Richards stepped forward, unafraid. We know your own reality is in danger. Doom Stark will destroy it, just as he has destroyed the others. You must ally with us. Apocalypse frowned. Doom Stark, a man who has merged with Stark's weakness, cannot be a threat to me. Doom Stark is more than you realize, Strange interrupted. He controls all realities. He has destroyed you in several of them. But we can give you a chance to exact revenge. For a moment, Apocalypse was silent, considering the proposition. Arrogant as he was in his belief in the survival of the fittest, he could not ignore Strange and Richards' words. He knew, more than anyone, how power could corrupt. Doom Stark, with Tony Stark's intellect and Doom's ambition, posed an unforeseen threat. If I join you, Apocalypse began slowly, I do not fight for your ideals. I fight to reclaim what is mine. We do not ask you to fight for us, Reed replied. Only that you help us bring down Doom Stark. Apocalypse smirked. Then so be it. Let us see if Doom Stark is worthy of being called a god. The counterattack. With Apocalypse at their side, the resistance gained new hope. Strange opened a portal directly to Latveria, where Doom Stark now ruled. The war would be fought there, in the heart of his empire. Doom Stark, aware of the commotion, watched them arrive with a calm smile. You've come again, Apocalypse, Doom Stark muttered to himself. And you brought company. Interesting. Apocalypse didn't hesitate. As soon as they stepped through the portal, he charged at Doom Stark with a primal fury, using all of his mutant powers to try and bring the hybrid down. The battle that followed was epic. The waves of power that clashed against each other shook the air. Apocalypse, Strange, Richards, and Parker fought with everything they had, while Doom Stark seemed to toy with them, manipulating reality around them. With each attack they launched, Doom Stark merely smiled and twisted reality to suit his will. You cannot win, Doom Stark declared, his voice echoing like a death knell. I am the future. But Apocalypse was not one to give up easily. With each blow, he pressed Doom Stark harder and harder, seeking the crack in his power that Reed had foreseen. And then, at a critical moment, Apocalypse found the breach. Stark's body, strong as it was, still had human limits. The fusion between him and Doom was not perfect, and Apocalypse exploited this weakness. With a scream of pure rage, Apocalypse launched his energy directly into the fusion fissure. Doom Stark screamed in pain, his form momentarily destabilizing. This was the opportunity the heroes needed. No, Strange shouted, creating a containment spell around Doom Stark as Apocalypse forced more energy into the crack. Doom Stark writhed in agony. No, this cannot happen. The uncertain ending. For a few moments, it seemed as if the resistance had won. Doom Stark was paralyzed, his form disintegrating. But then, with a final effort of his prodigious mind, he stabilized himself again, expelling Apocalypse's energy and breaking free of Strange's spell. You have come too far to die now, Doom Stark said, his voice cold as steel. But I have also learned from this battle. He looked directly at Apocalypse, his eyes burning with a malevolent intensity. You think you can use my weaknesses against me? I am more than just Stark and Doom. I am evolution itself. Before anyone could react, Doom Stark reached out and hurled Apocalypse into another dimension, sealing him forever in a place where neither time nor space existed. The remaining heroes watched helplessly. You have failed, Doom Stark declared, his tone final. And now, there is no one left to stop me. With that, he disappeared in a flash of light, leaving the resistance shattered and hopeless. Apocalypse was lost, and Doom Stark continued his reign. But the final battle had not yet been fought. Epilogue, the last hope. Even with the defeat, Strange looked to the heavens and muttered to himself, "There is still hope. If Apocalypse failed, perhaps there is another way." And so, amidst the darkness that enveloped the multiverse, the surviving heroes prepared for the next battle. Doom Stark might be powerful, but the spirit of resistance would never die. So these are our theoretical points. What do you think of all this? What do you believe about this? Have you ever imagined the most powerful mutant against Dr. Doom? Don't forget to leave a comment with your opinion, click the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. I'm Mr. Screen and see you soon. Bye.